what is a Trolloc anyways? It's
I
just
was,
like a weird
you know,
construct with a weird soul. So like, why are you so pressed about killing a literal
I
monster?
have
Like
in
a
my
literal
notes, I
evil?
can definitely respect the way of the leaf, but I think they need a Trolloc clause.
Yeah.
Exactly. What is a Trolloc? Dark magic, basically?
If you would like to help support the channel, check out Road to Tarvalon on Patreon and YouTube memberships. Hello and welcome back to the channel. Amber here with Laura, and we are on our Season 3, Episode 7 podcast watch of the Wheel of Time. Laura, favorite moments. Let's go.
Okay. I feel like I shouldn't say this like as my first one, but it's the first one that comes to mind is at the very end of the episode after Loial's gone and they are doing like paying respects to him, and Bain and Chiad like talk about how his name is music that sings in their ears. Oh my gosh, dude. I was a mess. In the book reading, the Red Eagle of Manetheren becomes a wolf. Oh my gosh.
Girl,
Like what a
girl.
what a scene.
So this was actually something that was really, really hard for me watching as a book reader because short spoiler warning here, but if you do not want to know what happens to Loial in the book during this time frame of what's happening on the show, skip ahead till you don't see the spoiler bar. In The Shadow Rising, Loial closes the Waygate and he makes it and he comes back. And so watching him
What?
fall forever
What?
into the depths of the Waygate,
What?
I don't
He didn't
know.
have to
Yeah,
die?
I don't know.
Okay,
Like I don't
okay.
okay.
It's episode 7. It's episode 7. I'm
I
just
don't know how you can bring him
I
back
don't
after
know. Ma
that.
Shin Chen helps out. I don't know how that all works. Like in the
Okay.
craziest thing ever, Ma Shin Chen comes in and saves Loyal because it has like a special place in its heart for the Ogier. Like that's how I would write it. Not really. That's
I
terrible.
if I want to be super optimistic here, Loial did survive a stabbing by the Shadar Logoth dagger in season
Okay,
1 and just
true.
came back next season.
Okay.
So, maybe there's hope.
Yeah.
I'm talking myself out of the pits of despair right now.
I'm not ready to
Like,
accept it.
truly, truly, this is
Mm.
just, that was rough for me. So, when I watched that part, I was so overcome with my own grief about losing Loial, and then I couldn't get over the book to show aspect where I was literally talking to myself as he fell. I was saying, no, 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 no. And I was in such a weird headspace that the ending, the part of him reading the book, it didn't even click for me because I was just standing there in disbelief, like, what? Why? But then when I went back and rewatched it and had a moment to like get over him disappearing into the pits of darkness, I wept. Girl, I
It's
wept.
awful. It's
That
awful. Why did they write it like that? Like that makes me so sad.
the part where he's like a man of honor,
Uh,
a man whose family was taken from him, but who stood tall in his sorrow and protected those he could. I was like inconsolable, inconsolable.
yeah, I think that Loyal's narration at the end really helps to highlight why Perrin is, making the decision that we see him make. But I don't know, so we should really talk about that at this moment.
At this locale.
I mean,
Okay,
like,
since we're on the
should we
since
maybe talk about other parts of the episode before the end?
It's fine. Actually, I don't care. We can jump all over the place because this battle, it is all
It's
over the place.
everywhere.
Props to Loial and to Bain and Chiad because they had a really, really fun fight scene making their way in to close the Waygate. And I loved when Bain and Chiad were doing the maiden hand talk. And she said something like,
Even their shadow
look
runners
at
are
the,
soft.
yeah,
Oh, that was
exactly.
my
These
favorite.
effing wetlanders, even their shadowrunners are soft. And I
It
was
was such a
like, that's
killer
my girl.
insult.
Right? And you know what? Like the icing on the cake, if someone would have said that, if we would have heard the words, it wouldn't have hit as hard. But the fact that she was signing it and like the look on her face, oh, like I was in
You
deep.
knew
I
she
was like,
meant
oh,
it.
that goes hard. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I love how like crazy deadly this trio is.
Me too. I'm surprised that Bane and Chiad made it out of there, but
Yeah, me too, for sure. But they did. So, I guess that was the consolation prize.
I almost wonder if it was okay. So, like, this is me taking off like my show hat and thinking about it in terms of like a production aspect. I wonder if the actor just became not available anymore. Like, what if the Loial actor's career has taken off and he doesn't want to dress up in full prosthetics every time he plays his role in this show? Oh my God. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. If they wrote it this way, I'm sure that they have a reason that maybe we'll find out in the next episode, though I don't know exactly how much time we could really spend in the Two Rivers after this episode. But one thing I will say is like when we're talking about like Loial and Bain and Chiad and their like fight to the ways, it's like the
Hmm.
gate closing is a matter of life or death at that point. It's an entire village and all of the refugees that they've taken in, and there's only so long that the Two Rivers is going to be able to stave off defeat. Endless waves of fresh fighters for the dark will doom the village.
Yeah, and that was one of the big aspects with Padan Fain because he's got that smirk on his face and he's like, we can wait. I'll have hundreds more Trollocs here in minutes. And then you see that giant
That was
flash.
another one of my favorite moments was the waves exploding because it's like
Yeah,
such a burst of like raw magical energy.
right? Oh, it's brutal. But you know what? This means there can't be any more fast travel to the two rivers. So if we end up ever going back there, people are just going to have to go it on foot.
Okay, that's inconvenient, but had to be done. Unfortunately, there's a handful of scenarios that we see like that, even with Perrin and Padan Fain. Personally, I think he should
Yeah,
have killed him, but there's this kind of question for later down the line about that. I'm sure there's going to come a point where somebody has something to say about it, but I think that he's in a really hard spot that needs immediately fixed. And that was the way to save his people now. Worry about it later.
right. Also, I want to say something about Perrin's decision to go because I do believe it fits in line with his character and story arc. But the reason it's different than it is in the books, but the reason I'm on board with it is because if we get season 4, it's going to dip right into this plot line with Perrin and the Whitecloaks in a really ramped up pace than it is from the books. So that means they're cutting out this very large chunk of book material for Perrin's character that some people don't always love, or they're going to push that back further and bring in a Perrin's later book arc, do that closer to the beginning and then save something for later. So it makes sense in my mind where I was like, this is a logical choice. I get it. I see, I see what they're doing here and it makes sense to me. It's also really cool because we left off on the villagers not being too pleased about the White Cloaks taking their boy.
Well, how
So
would they when Dane Bornhold has some goddamn audacity?
not only that, but they rolled into the two rivers with dark friends. Like they are the champion of the light, the Whitecloaks,
I would have been
noble,
bringing that
against
up.
dark friends. Right? So like the hypocrisy of it all is going to be a lot in terms of story narrative for all of these characters.
Well, also the people of the Two Rivers just came off of a victory of beating back Trollocs and Darkfriends. Like, I'm sure the White Cloaks seem a lot less intimidating right now.
Right. And on top of that, Bain and Chiad live,
Right.
like, and they've got Faile with them. She's a force to be reckoned with as well.
Absolutely.
So
And then, like Alana and Maxim are actually still there. I'm not saying that they would stay, you never know, but there's also them there too.
that's a really good point because at the end, towards the end, after the battle, the twins are like, will you take us to the White Tower to learn how to channel? And she's like, no, I think the pattern has something different in store for us. And so now we've got Alana, Maxim, and two young channelers in a group. We've got Bain, Chiad, and Faile. Who knows where all of this is going to go, but I love it.
Yeah, definitely. There's so much. One of the things that I really enjoyed just right up front in the episode was in the opening that Tuatha'an reunion, the Tinkerers from season 1 being there.
Yes.
Oh, I loved it. I am really loving all of the season 1 nostalgia this season, like all of the direct throwbacks to it, because it's like that happened so long ago as far as like the seasons go. It was like really nice to revisit old friends or old locations like now in the present, even old enemies like Padan Fain.
Yeah. The storyline of Aram was really interesting in this episode in a way that it's doing two big things. We're getting Perrin's conflict between violence and peace, and we're getting more of this Aiel Tuatha'an merging of the culture, and we're seeing all of it happen this episode, and the Tuatha'an showing up. It's a nice little piece of like storyline to dig your teeth into because we've dealt with so much of this Ruidian stuff, and now it's coming into play in the main series in a really important way.
You know, one of the things I was thinking early in the episode, which, we find out later on, is that like there's going to have to be a violence free way that the Tuatha'an people can help during this battle.
Yeah, yeah.
And like it was
How did you like
I
that?
thought it was a good way to do it, to have them escape with children if things get too bad. I thought that that was a good idea.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the bond between, is it Isla and Aram and Perrin,
Definitely.
the reunion, him them being like, "Oh, like who's at the gates? Who's at the gates ready to fight?" And he's like, "No, no, 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 no. Wait, 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 wait." And it was that really wholesome, I don't know, like that coming home moment that keeps giving when we're at the Two
Right.
Rivers. Like anyone who comes through the door, it's like, "Ah,
I
yes,
mean,
we are home."
unfortunately, that plan unraveled into something else entirely. We have Aram, he's being chased through the woods behind the secret pass by that squat Trolloc. And then I don't know what else to describe it. Like, the drone shot Trolloc. Um,
Yeah.
and he's presented with the same problem as Rand's ancestors were, to be an oath breaker of the way of the leaf. And, like Rand's ancestor, he has another life on the line just as well as his. He's not making this decision for just him, he's making it for others as well. And he chooses to use the Trollocs own blade against it to save himself and the baby. And then, in the most ugly twist of fate, like his mom shows up right then and there almost immediately, which is crazy. But besides that, like it's really interesting to see how this situation is kind of repeating itself through time.
Like the pattern is churning out another oath
Yeah,
breaker.
like it's hedging its bets and is like, well, if it doesn't work out with that one, we'll get it with this one.
We might need a new Dragon Reborn in a couple centuries. We need a new Oathbreaker. Aram is the next Dragon Reborn. Or from Aram's line will the next Dragon Reborn come.
Right. Like, it's I have so many questions that I know I'm going to have to wait for answers for. Like, what does this mean? Why is this happening?
Yeah. I want to talk about some of these more peripheral characters like Aram, like Alana, Maksim, the twins, Days Conger, Marin Alvear, and then save Faile and Perrin maybe for like the cherry on top at the end.
Okay.
But I am obsessed with these two little coffin girls, Matt's little sisters.
Girl,
They are,
when Perrin
for one, so cute and so funny.
when Perrin was showing them a picture of their brother and they started like clowning on him, I was like, leave it to a couple of preteens to promptly bring you back down to earth.
The bladder blower. uh, I don't know. It's just, I hope that we get to see a reunion between Matt and his sisters because that would be really cool.
Yeah, it
But
would.
also, they have so much potential. And we got to see that like twin channeling bonanza where they linked up and they just barbecued your boy Eamon Valda.
You know, I was really worried for them when he showed up. I was like, oh no, not this, not him. Like,
Doesn't he say something like, "Don't worry, children,"
yeah,
and they're like, "For mother."
he's all, it's you. But like, I can imagine.
Sorry, why is Eamon Valda always like he's so that's so Eamon Valda in season one
Channeler
when
detective to the
parents
bitter end.
when Perrin's eyes glowed yellow in season one, he's like, "What are you?" And now in this, he's like, "It's you." I love his dramatic flair.
Yeah, I can imagine he did not predict that his death would come at the hands of two channeling children.
It felt
It
good.
did.
Like I love him. I love him as an evil character, thoroughly entertaining. But it was so nice watching him go up in
Look,
flames
when you sow fear and oppression everywhere you go, eventually you're going to meet your end at the hands of someone you harmed.
at the hands of
Like,
two preteens who
right.
like to dish it
He
out.
he really liked to live by the gun kind of thing. So, you know, like as much as I enjoyed him as a character, this isn't exactly a surprise that he has met his end.
No. Mm-mm. But I don't know. Maybe that means we will have a white cloak stepping up to fill his shoes, or maybe we see a kinder, more gentler white cloak. I can't say. I really don't know. Maybe it'll get better, maybe it'll get worse.
What did you think about Alana and Maxim this episode?
They were so good. Maxim leading the fight at the mountain pass when Alana is doing her icicle channeling with the twins and Days Conger. I loved it. I loved it. I love how they kind of broke the group apart so that we could always get a point of view through someone in every location. And Maxim, what a G, like what a guy. He really did a lot of like good work with these Two Rivers characters, getting them ready for this battle. I also love just his
I
snarky,
yeah, I love his
like,
cavalier attitude towards everything. He's all, we're all going to die here, and then Two Rivers longbows indeed.
exactly. I loved it. Where he's like training them with spears, and Zen Bui, this old man, is like, I wish I had my longbow. It was fun.
Yeah, I do think that the best way forward to them for them is to build something new. Otherwise, the grief of Yvonne will never stop acting as a dark cloud over their relationship.
Agreed. They need to find a new third.
Ooh, okay.
I don't know, maybe that or just, new group, new traveling group, something,
Yeah, something that's distinctly them.
right? And two, what's kind of cute about this is the Aes Sedai are typically like never having children. And it's kind of funny to get this weird little family aspect now with Alana and Maxim and these two young girls, where, like, obviously, she's not going to treat them like her kids. Like, it's not the same, but there's this really kind and cute storyline going on with them where I could see them kind of becoming their own little thing.
Okay, I like that idea.
Yeah, and where like Alana is in her story, I think it's going to go very differently than it does in the books. So this is just a weird theory of mine, but I could see her kind of starting her own little, I don't want to call it a splinter group, but her own little battalion before the last battle comes because she's made it a point to not be at the White Tower. She's made it a point to say to these girls she's not going to take them back to the White Tower. She sounds like she doesn't want to go back there.
I mean, you can't really blame her right now.
Right, but she's Green Aja through and through. So the only foreseeable future I see for her is creating her own army. And like this has nothing to do with the books. I'm not being like spoilery here. I'm just shooting off loony theories. So who's to say? Like she's this great teacher, she's a great leader, she's a great channeler, she's a general. Like, yeah, that's how I could see her storyline
I
going.
love that. Yeah, because I think, like we're kind of wrapped up in the Two Rivers after this episode. So I don't expect to see a whole lot more from some of these characters.
Yeah.
And I like how I usually don't, sometimes cliffhanger open ended things are kind of like, oh, why? But I really like
Mhm.
this one where we know that they've got like somewhere, they're going somewhere else, but we're not really sure where.
Right. It leaves a lot open for later. This is one of these plot points where I'm just like chewing on like we need season 4 to happen because I got to see what happens with Alana now.
Right.
Like I'm fully invested in what her storyline is going to look like. Before we move to Perrin, I have to talk about Days Conger, the other channeler, and how she went out because Milady, that
True
was
bravery.
quite, yeah, true bravery. Just, I, it was so good. It was so good.
It really was like, it was so sad too. You're getting hit with so many like big things all at once, but it was like something that really stood out in the episode to me.
Me too. Because it's just, we almost lose Alana again. And I think Days knew that she was expendable. Alana isn't. Alana's really important in terms of what she can do and her training and all of that. And
Yeah,
Days really stepped up and did what she could to save Alana and save the two
the
rivers.
love for the Two Rivers that its inhabitants have is truly like inspiring in this episode. They are doing
So much.
anything they can to save their home, and they're willing to sacrifice their lives in order to do it.
Yeah. The women's circle,
Oh my
just
gosh, I love it.
killer. Faile says something like, Perrin, I really like this women's circle that you've got here as like Marin Alvear. And, like they've got the ropes and they're tripping the Trollocs and then like got him pinned on the ground and stab, 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 stab.
It was great. I
Like,
loved it. When she screams for the Two Rivers, I was like, "Oh, I'm with you, girl. Like, take them down."
yeah, yeah. Marin Alvear is incredible.
Incredible.
Love,
Like,
love.
love her as a character, and it makes me like Egwene more.
What did you say to me the other day that she deserves? What was it?
What did I? Oh, I can't remember.
You said they should erect a statue of Marin
Yeah,
Alvear in the Two
it
Rivers.
needs a statue of her. Like, come on. She held the square.
She's like the patron saint of the
Yeah,
Two
she really
Rivers. I love
like
it so
she
much.
really greased the wheels on a lot of this too.
She did.
it's not to be left out that she played a big role here. Even though it was like passive, she really did a lot of hearts and minds work.
Right? Yeah, it was really good. So let's talk about Perrin and Faile, our main POV characters in this episode.
Well,
First thought, the wolf head banner,
oh, I
love.
love it too. I know Perrin hates it because he's like the biggest anti-hero around, but I love it. And I love how like Faile came up with it as a way to like inspire the inhabitants of the two rivers.
Yeah, she told them that the Trollocs are afraid of wolves. They are.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
it's like a rallying cry.
exactly. It was a good move on her part, and I get that Perrin's really reluctant to be a leader because as he's expressed, like he's not a leader. But sometimes you don't have a choice in that, and that's where he's at. He has to lead his people. The two people of the two rivers need led by somebody who understands them, who's one of them. And it has to be him. And I think Faile understands that a lot sooner than he does.
Right. We get that exposition that she's a general's daughter. You know, she's a war, like a, not a war family. God. Like a military family, which is true, which is true. I think there's still more to be left uncovered about her family, but I don't know if how much the show will get into that. But I really like how Faile is able to inspire Perrin and also talk sense into
Yeah.
him because she does know what it's like to lead. She comes from that background where Perrin does not, and she sees what she sees. She knows what she knows. It's just up to Perrin to wrap his head around it as well.
Yeah, and he needs a lot of pushing to get there.
He does. Yeah. So I have a favorite, I think a favorite moment of the episode, again, where I wept like a child.
Okay, what is it?
It was right before the Trollocs show up,
Oh,
and
I already
I
nope.
was
I
fully
sobbing.
expecting,
I
you
was
know,
sobbing.
I was fully expecting Perrin to give a speech, but when they started singing the Song of Manetheren, I was like, well, that's it, Amber. You're done for today. Like, you're not going to get through this episode without crying on multiple occasions.
Yep. It was
uh,
that was such a perfect moment in the episode.
right?
But it also
When they're
like
like beating on their armor.
again really highlights why the people of the two rivers want him to be in charge.
Yeah,
Whether he realizes it or not, he actually is a pretty good leader. He just needs more confidence.
right. I understand him thinking all of these people are going to die and it's going to be my fault because I was leading them to their deaths.
Right.
But the realistic thing is this fight is coming no matter what. They can go into it without someone to lead and die, or they can go in and have a better chance of surviving. It's just Perrin is so stubborn when it comes to being a leader, and he's gonna have to get over that quick because the last battle's coming and we don't have 14 seasons.
I wish we did.
But I
Not
wish we
spaced
did
out
too.
2 years apart, though. 30 years is a big commitment.
Right? Also, I forgot about saying this when we were talking about Loial, but he also had a warhammer, which was pretty
Yeah, that
cool.
was cool.
And Perrin had the duality of builder and fighter with an axe and a hammer. So like the violence versus non-violence shown visually,
Right.
metaphorically through his weapons, I guess.
Yeah, kind of like how spears are tools,
Yep,
hammers are tools.
exactly.
I guess axes are kind of tools too.
True. Honestly, here's the thing. This is, you know what? I've kind of got beef with the Tinkers because what is a Trolloc anyways? It's
I
just like
was,
a weird
you know,
construct with a weird soul. So like, why are you so pressed about killing a literal
I
monster?
have
Like
in
a
my
literal
notes, I
evil?
can definitely respect the way of the leaf, but I think they need a Trolloc clause.
Yeah.
They really need to, like, Exactly. What is a Trolloc? Dark magic, basically?
They're pretty much like a crossbreed between humans and animals with like tainted soul,
Okay.
I guess.
I don't know. I don't think that should get the same reverence as deciding to rob somebody on the side of the road and killing them. I get it, but at the same time, Trolloc claws probably a good idea because, it could take one Trolloc to wipe all of you out.
Right? I did like this little moment between Perrin and Faile where we're not sure yet if he's still being really protective of her. And he's like, what does he say? He's like, get behind me. And she's like, you can't keep me out of this fight. And he's like, no, get behind me and kill the ones I
Which
miss.
was,
And then she's got that smirk on her face afterwards, like, oh yeah, let's go, let's
didn't she end
go.
up killing most of them though? Because, like, he seemed to just be hitting people and then keeping it moving.
Yeah, like he knocks them off their center of gravity and then she stabs
Right.
20 times in the length of five
They've
seconds.
got a good
She's
system
like a
going.
spider monkey. Yeah. I do respect Faile's grappling abilities though. It's pretty cool.
Oh, she's deadly.
For
Like,
real with her knives.
yeah, definitely deadly.
I love how a lot of the women in the Wheel of Time are always like holding on to concealed belt knives,
I love that.
like Moraine.
Moraine has so
Uh,
many hidden knives. Why wouldn't she?
right?
She knows what's up. She's a spy.
You know what we didn't talk about with Aram either is that he just got a new job as a blacksmith.
Well, I thought that that was kind of open. If he doesn't work it out with his mom, then he can do that. I kind of hope he takes it though, for his own sake. He doesn't seem to be truly committed to the way of the leaf. And there seems to
No,
be like, even in season one, we saw some like misalignment there for him.
yeah, and you could tell at the beginning of this episode when they're let in the gates that his grandfather died and he was feeling a certain way about it when Isla was speaking about something. He kind of gave her a look that was like, this is BS, like this is wrong that we just
Yeah, plus the
let our people die.
oh, so I guess I should just starve look he gave her when she was needling him about eating food that had meat in it.
Right. Do you want to know one of these mysteries within
Yes,
the books?
absolutely.
So the Tuatha'an don't kill, don't eat meat, don't hunt, but they travel in the books with large, like, mastiffs. What are those dogs eating? Like, I gotta know.
Well,
I gotta know.
it's got to be okay for the dog, I guess, because the dog is just like, I mean, like, what otherwise, what are they feeding the dog? I didn't know you could like order dog food.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If they're not killing animals and feeding them to the dogs, I mean, are they making kibble in the back of the wagons?
I
Like, I gotta
I don't
know.
know. How do they survive as vegetarians in the desert?
It's a good question.
I mean, it's not like the waste has a, it didn't seem like it had a ton of cacti or something edible.
Just a random thought, not not anything too deep there, but
So, should we talk about Padan Fain and Perrin?
yeah.
This is kind of
Yeah.
like lighthearted of me, but while they're having this very serious conversation, I hear somebody in the background yell the two rivers, and I could not stop laughing.
Why? What was
Because it was
it?
just like out of nowhere during this serious conversation, you hear him yell, the two rivers, like loud in the background.
Was it Padan Fain?
No, it was like an extra in the background.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was pretty funny. I did think it was interesting that Perrin kept demanding to understand why Podden hates him or hates them, the inhabitants of the two rivers.
I kind of want to be like, Perrin, I see where you're coming from emotionally, but it's Padan Fain we're talking about here. Logic, not that man's strong suit. Like,
Yeah, it like he
he,
really didn't understand that this could be as for as petty of a reason just to upset Rand. We're
right,
just here to
right.
upset Rand. Like,
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely one of these situations where at least the Waygate is now closed. And the good thing about the Two Rivers is that it is fairly cut off from Trollocs now because Trollocs can't cross water because of like magic stuff.
That magical
And
fear of water.
they're in the mountains. So at this point, we have to assume that the Two Rivers is going to be okay unless they come under threat by humans
Right.
and not Trollocs. But Padan Fain, man, you know what I think my favorite part was for him is Perrin throwing a hammer at him,
Oh,
like a massive
absolutely.
warhammer,
I loved
just
it.
clocking him. It was so good. It was so good. I don't
I
know.
wonder what it's going to mean for him that he retreated.
Well, yeah, because he's gonna need a new
Can you just like go
victim.
and tell the Dark Lord, hey, sorry, this didn't work out?
I mean, I guess so, but there's gonna be more for Padan Fain. I have to wonder if they'll keep it kind of like the books or he'll do something different.
Okay.
Because Padan Fain, he's not even Perrin's enemy.
No, he didn't. He doesn't
He's
really seem written
well,
that way.
I mean, in terms of like other people, there's someone out of the Two Rivers character that is more like Padan Fain's nemesis, I guess. He does have his thing with Perrin, but he also is highly antagonistic towards Rand, and he's almost like Matt's
That's what I thought was like,
opposite
was
in
beef
terms
with
of,
Matt.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Like, because we saw that back in the beginning.
Right? And when Matt got Dagger on a stick, he really ran Padan Fain out of town. You know what? Padan
He's got
Fain
a lot of
is really
losses.
a runner.
He's
Yeah,
got a lot of
he,
L's.
he really does. The way
He's not a
he,
Forsaken, right? No
no, but the way
wonder.
he skedaddled from Matt and Dagger on a stick was hilarious. And it's the same thing this
This
time.
is exactly why he can't be a Forsaken.
Well, he's not even a channeler.
Okay,
He's
well, maybe
just
there's other
like
reasons too.
so Padan Fain is a weird combination. He's the merging of two entities. So yeah, like there's a guy, Padan Fain, who is a peddler. But also when he shows up in Shadar Logoth, he somehow merges with another character, the character who owned the dagger before Matt. And so this character, I shouldn't even call him a character. He's like a almost like a haunting. Like this dude is just like almost like a ghost of Shatter Logoth, an eldritch terror who is trapped in the city. And Padan Fain merges with this entity. So not only is he a dark friend whose soul was distilled by the Dark One, but he's also a whole other dark entity that doesn't even really have anything to do with the Dark One. The dude is a menace.
That's
Like,
quite a
if
that's
anyone,
quite a resume.
it really is. And also, he just keeps end up living and running. And he's another one of those characters where it's like, I really need resolution. I need to see what happens next. Because honestly, I hope that he makes it all the way till the very end of the series. And I hope we get the end of the series because it's always theatrics with this character. And I love it.
Me too. I only have one other thing to say, which is Dain Bornhold should be shackled in the town square so everybody can throw rotten vegetables at him.
Boo this man.
What
Boo.
a what terrible. He was
What an idiot. He
like,
came in there all high on his horse, literally, and brought dark friends with him. You are so dumb.
yeah, then
You
his
are so
whole
dumb, Dane Bornhold.
he was like, I didn't know. Everybody needs to just get over it. I didn't know. And then he has the audacity to show back up and be like, we had a deal that I said no to.
I think that deal is forfeit when you are the one who brought the Trollocs in.
Right.
Come on. Come on. We wouldn't have had to fight, at least as hard.
Yeah, they would have
They
been a
could have
lot
taken him
better
with the
off.
pass. Yeah.
I cannot wait
Oh,
to watch episode
insane.
8 because I have no idea what's going to happen, you know?
Do you want to make any predictions
Mm,
or any hopes?
well, okay, so here's what I'm thinking. We're gonna probably have some time in the Aiel Waste.
Yeah, we got to wrap that
We
up.
gotta wrap up Tanchico.
We got to wrap that
I
up.
feel like that's gonna be our focus, is gonna be Tanchico.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
just wrapping up the Aiel Waste. And then, oh shit, we gotta wrap up the White Tower too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm expecting, like 3 major plot points.
Okay.
I don't know. I have a feeling this is not going well for Swan, but we'll see. Maybe her and Elida can be chill after what happened last time.
We will
We
see.
shall.
All right, that wraps it up for today. As always, you can find me on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Discord. And if you would like to help support the channel and keep my lights running so that I can keep doing this with Laura, check out Road to Tarvalon on Patreon and YouTube memberships. We will see you back for the finale, episode 8 of the Wheel of Time next week. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll see you then.